Well, hello YouTube, I'm back. I've been down for a bit. Injured my leg. I was out working on a loader about 2 weeks ago, and the wind was blowing like crazy as usual around here, and my phone had rang, and I had reached in the opened the passenger side door of my service truck and stepped up on the running board to answer the phone and get the phone off the dash of my service truck, and the wind blew the door shut and hit me in the left rear calf muscle. And of course, me being the hard-headed bastard that I am, I didn't think much about it. I just thought, well, it, you know, just probably gonna bruise up. It hurt for quite a while, but long story short, it kept hurting and hurting for about 2 weeks, and what ended up happening was had a subhematoma in my left rear calf muscle, and then it bled into the tissue surrounding the muscle there to the front of the leg. And anyway, I noticed about a week ago, I noticed that the whole front part of my left leg there on the shin area was beet red. And hold on, it's slick right here. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. The road is icy and it's foggy. Okay. And anyway, I walked out of the shower there and told my wife. And my wife, she's going to school to be a registered nurse, so she's been in there for a while and she knows a little bit. And she, of course, if I would have listened to her, to be honest with you, I probably should have listened to her the first day it happened. She told me to go to the doctor. I'm hard-headed about doctors, and to my own detriment. And I probably wouldn't have, you know, it probably wouldn't have been that bad. But anyway, they did the, oh, what do you call it, the ultrasound on my leg, and they saw that it was really screwed up, and so they put me on antibiotics, and I had to sit on my butt there at the house for about a week with my leg elevated and all that stuff until the infection got under control, and couldn't do anything, doctor's orders. So anyway, it's a good, nice, balmy 8 degrees this morning and foggy, and we've had a little bit of snow on the ground, and looks like winter. So I'm heading to the shop, and I've got all my parts for my John Deere 310D transmission. I've got the parts for the case tractor. I've got some pickup parts. I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff to do here. So we'll be with you in a bit here when we get to the shop and we get working on that tractor, that transmission, the 310D. So see you in a bit. Hey guys, we are in the middle of putting this thing back together. Just started on it, got the case all cleaned up, got it cleaned out the inside of it here, and got new bearing races on it. This inside bearing race where the pinion is right here, there's a shim pack, and I use the original shim pack. When we put it back together, we'll go through that, and we'll use the roll and drag torque method there that they want you to use to make sure it's right. Right now we're pressing the bearing off the pinion here, and she's pretty tight. And when they're tight like this, put your safety glasses on. I get warned about it, and sometimes I forget about it, but because you're actually pressing on this bearing too, and then you've got 2 bushings that you're pressing off at the same time, so it's pretty tight. This bearing here is, you're pressing 3 things off at one time. Oh, it's about 1 o'clock, and I got here at the shop about 7:30 this morning, and just not getting started on it. Had a lot of people coming in the shop, and I can't get mad at I usually get mad at the guys coming in the shop, you know, yakking my ear off, but there was a lot of people that were concerned about my well-being, so I can't complain about that. A lot of the farmers and stuff were coming in, checking to see how I was doing, and I sure appreciate that. They're pretty good guys. Well, let's put this on our hat, and then catch this pinion. I don't want it to hit the ground. There we go. Got new bearings. I didn't get new bushings. There wasn't anything wrong with these, so. I bought that cone type bearing heater, and that's what I intend to do. I like the Fly Daddy setup that these guys told me about, but I don't like the mess that accompanies it. It dribbles oil everywhere. So I've used that cone type bearing heater a couple times, and I was really happy with it. Alright, put the tension off. Oh, she's still, I thought it was going to come off, but apparently not. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit there. Yeah, it's just a little bit snug in that. Right there, just a little tappy. Get it out of there. Alright. Alright. I think it's going to be pretty important to clean this shaft up real good. So with the way everything's so tight on there that you're not pressing, or you know, a piece of metal comes off, and you can see the silver on my hand. All the silver that was in the case there is trapped on the grooves of the shaft. So we'll get some brake clean it up real good. But here's that bearing heater I bought. I bought it off, I'm trying to remember what outfit I actually bought it from. Bessie, that's the model of the bearing heater, but I think it was toolbarn.com was the most reasonable price. I didn't want to, I was kind of afraid of buying the most cheapest, you know, thing I could find, because usually that doesn't work out very well. So this one was kind of a mid-range, you know, I think it was like 385 bucks, and it works really good. It's got a little crayon. You're supposed to, there's no real temperature indicator on it. But I thought, you know, there's a little crayon that you can put on the bearing while you're heating it, and periodically check it, and then it's supposed to melt the crayon, and when it melt the crayon, it's supposed to be ready for installation. So that's what I did. I just followed the directions on it. But another thing I was thinking you could probably do is just get it's supposed to be 220 degrees, I think, is what the optimal temperature is, what they want you to put it on there. And I thought, well, why can't you just get a laser thermometer and shine it at the inner race of the bearing and check it at 2 or 3 different spots around it? Be the same thing, but okay. Well, I'm gonna plug this in and get my bearing ready, and I'll be back when we're putting it on. All right, guys. So we got the first bearing here. I've already stuck it on there once, but as you can see, there's little crayons melting on there. The first bearing takes quite a while to, I don't know, it took me about 10 minutes to get it heated up, but you got to get this element hot first. After that, it's not too bad. So let's see if she works and slides on the shaft. Wow, that is nice. Let's put this spacer on there. And when you put the spacer on, you're supposed to line up the hole in the bushing here with one of the splines, is what it says in the service manual. I'm looking to see, I see the oil feed holes right here. Maybe we'll line it up over here somewhere. It doesn't matter. It just says in the book there to line it up with. Let's read the book here. Okay. Where, oh, where? So you put that bearing on there, then you put the bushing on. Saw the bushing C on the shaft. Bushing must be tight against bearing cone B. Line the hole in the bushing with any spline on the shaft. Okay. They've actually got it lined up, you can see, with the holes on that. So alright, well, I'm going to wait a little bit and we'll put the bushing on there, and then what we're going to end up doing is taking the shaft, going in from the differential end and coming back into this big the pinion bearing here, And then basically you want to stack your shaft up in the case. Alright guys, so we got our bearing pressed on, our bushing on here, first bushing, and then first speed gear is right here. What you got to do is stick your shaft in first after you get your bearing and your bushing on. Kind of mock it up here where it kind of sits in this housing. Kind of sits on this inside bearing race, and you basically just want to barely hang these gears on the end of the shaft. This is kind of a pain in the butt getting this on here. And slide your first speed gear on. Try to get your blocking rings on your synchronizer assembly, the 4 notches lined up where everything's kind of sitting flush like it's supposed to be. Slide your second speed gear over the shaft and up against your blocker ring on the other side. And then on this third, fourth gear cluster, this is one gear assembly here. It's just kind of sitting on there, and this is kind of a pain. You got to get everything splined up, and then your blocker rings come undone. I got some grease trying to hold them, but sometimes that doesn't even work. Here we go. Like I said, you better have your little patience. It can be a real patient trying thing. There we go. And you'll know when your blocker rings in the synchronizer assembly, they'll go in there kind of flush where they're supposed to be. My right arm's getting tired on me. Yeah, see, this gear doesn't like to really sit on there square, and it's always kind of screwing with you. Alright, now we're gaining on it, guys. Trying to see if we're up against that. We're up against this bushing, and it's a little tight on that bushing. I think this is where you got to start pressing it on. Okay, so last time I did one of these, I took a bottle jack, alright, let's stick it in here and see where we're at, adjust it out. No fun at all. I think I had a little block of wood. I think that's what I had, is a little short 2x4 or something to stick in the case, if I remember right. Let me go see if I can find one. Alright guys, so I got my short 20-ton bottle jack in here, and I got a piece of plate here to take up a little bit of the space, kind of square things up a little bit. And try to point your bottle jack to where that pump on the jack is facing kind of down to where the oil's going to it, to where it'll pump. If you get it straight up, you'll run out of oil as soon as you start pumping. And we're gonna go real easy here and watch things and make sure things are sliding together right. You can see that first speed gear sliding over the bushing right now. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of force to do this, so if it starts getting really hard, stop before something goes to hell on you. See, we're getting running out of oil right now as we speak. Maybe get a little bit different down angle or something on it. See if I can get a little more angle where I can get more oil to my pump on my jack. And then it's hard to get a hold of the handle then. Remember, you'll be pressing on the other end as a press fit on the other bushing too, so once you get to a certain point, you're going to be pressing on both bushings. Okay, that bearing looks to be up against the this bearing. We still got a gap here. That's because we haven't got this bearing here in to shove the shaft back. So we're about as far as we're going to go here. This bearing's up against a race, inner race there. So let's take the tension off. All right. Of course, it slid back a little bit on me. Yep, that's as far as we're going to go till we get things on there. Make sure your blocker rings are squared up in their notches where they're supposed to be. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah. Okay, we did that. We've already been through the synchronizer. That's all on. So third, fourth gear cluster. Yeah. Okay, wooden block. I had a piece of plate. See, they've got one of those short rams, like if you're pressing steering clutches off a cat. They've got one of those. Spines on cluster gear must be even with spines on shaft A. Well, yeah, got to be even on it or it's not going to go on there. Alright. Okay. Not supposed to exceed 500 psi when you're pushing that on there. I mean, I was just using that's why I was just running that jack by hand. It doesn't take much. Alright, thoroughly clean shaft using solvent to remove any metal debris. We've already done that. Inspect coil spring struts to make sure that they're coil springs to make sure they are synchronizer struts. They're all good. Square tangs on the blocker rings must be even with the struts. Install the thickest snap ring groove that will fit in there. Okay, so what we got to do here is we basically got to get all these gears to slide back. And I don't have that special spacer they're referring to. I don't possess it. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. Should I get me a piece of tubing and cut it? But how am I going to get it out of there? That's the question. Well, let me think about this a little bit. Well guys, I cheated on it. I got it on there. What I ended up doing is got my air hammer and put my dull punch head on the air hammer, and I got up against this cluster gear and it was barely squeezed the trigger, where it was just barely vibrating while I held the pinion on this end, and it slid everything right together. And there's the exposed snap ring groove now, and I've looked at it and I didn't damage anything, so I just couldn't figure out how the hell they must have some kind of special spacer to to get that to get it back out of there. I don't know how they get it back out, unless it's a two-piece spacer or what. And I got a new snap ring. Since the other snap ring had come off, I got a brand new snap ring. You're supposed to use the thickest snap ring available. So I guess if we see this snap ring is way too wide, or the groove is still way too wide, then we got a problem. Not popping in there like I'd like to see it pop in there. I'm not very happy with that. I think that's what caused all the original problems to begin with, is the snap ring wasn't in good, because I can see a gap between the snap ring, you know, the inside diameter of the snap ring and the outside diameter of the shaft. I'm not really liking that too much. Definitely getting closer. I still don't think that snap ring is seated up all the way. Yeah, I'm not liking it. It's not popping in there like it should. I'm going to take that snap ring back off. We need a thinner snap ring. It says right in the book there's various thicknesses of snap ring, so I might be on hold to get the right snap ring anyway. Yeah, let's read that book for a second. Yeah, 4 snap ring thicknesses are available for service. That one's obviously not going in there. And I think that's probably what their problem was originally. But that snap ring was off, dangling on the end of the shaft here when I took this thing apart. And there was a bunch of play between this cluster gear and second speed gear. Yeah, it was never seated. This one here wouldn't. Alright, so let's look at the original snap ring that was in there. And let's go get the calipers and measure them and see what kind of difference, if any, there is there. It looks like the original one might have been a little bit thinner, actually. Alright, let's zero this thing. That's thicker than 13 thousandths, isn't it? Oh, I see this caliper, that's 130 thousandths. One of our tenths is gone. They're both 130 thousandths. So I'm gonna look around the shop. I've got a bunch of Eaton transmission snap rings and stuff like that. See if I've got something that'll fit. If not, I'll have to call the dealer and ask them if they can get me the next size down from 130 thousandths. Okay guys, so right here, this got our outer bearing on there. Now there's no spacer or nothing between there. That bearing will slide onto that shaft far enough that it'll put too much preload on it. So I mean, the book basically says, cut and dry, is tighten the nut up until you get the right preload. And you're supposed to have 9 to 27 inch-pounds. Let's go back. I'm too far. Pretty critical. Install bearing, come replace nut if necessary. On the 310D, the 310D has a lock nut, and the 300Ds have a cotter pin. So on the 300Ds it's 4 to 18 inch-pounds. On the 310D, I think it's 9 to 27. 310D and 315D hold first and second gear speed, gears from turning. Check rolling drag torque. If measurement increases more than 5 inch-pounds from the first measurement. Inspect coil springs. Let's see here, I screwed up and missed it somewhere. Where is my... oh, okay, here we go. 310D and 350 hold first speed, gears from turning. Check the rolling drag torque, measurement increases. Well, where the hell is it at? Oh yeah, there it is, 9 to 27 inch-pounds. Okay, install bearing cone, replace nut if necessary, check rolling drag torque, adjust nut until torque is within 9 to 27 inch-pounds. So we'll kind of use our impact. It's kind of like a crush sleeve on a ring and pinion on a Ford pickup. Just go easy with it. A little more maybe. Little bit of drag there now. Let's put our torque wrench on there. We got a dial type inch-pound torque wrench. 25. It's a good easy number. So it goes in 5-pound increments. The next one up is going to be 30. So hold first and second speed gears. That'd be the ones in the back. That's not enough. We need more preload on it. Just barely moved the needle to about 5 inch-pounds. It's like a crush sleeve. Most of the time you go too damn much. There, we got a little resistance there now. I can feel it. Let's see where we're at now. Let's see here. Let's just move the blue dial, the stop, out of the way. Something about this dial type torque wrench, I wish it ratcheted. So we're starting out 0, 5. Like right at 20. We're like right at 20 inch-pounds. I think we're gonna color pretty good, man. We're pretty close to being in the middle. Yeah, that feels pretty good. All right. Okay, the next step is to get a dial indicator. We want to make sure that we have a little bit of play. We'll get a bar, make sure we got a little bit of play in this gear. So this gear here, so our third and fourth gear isn't too tight against this gear. Because once everything gets hot, you know, everything's going to expand and you need a little bit of room there. I got to find my dial indicator. I'm not sure where it's even at. Oh. My leg is killing me. I'm gonna have to head home here in a little bit and lick my wounds. Oh, my snap-on sticker's gone off the case of this thing. I had a really nice magnetic snap-on one. This is their, it says snap-on, but it looks like a blue point. But it was a really nice dial indicator. When all my stuff got stolen, it disappeared too. Once we get this bottom shaft set up, the rest of it shouldn't be too bad to do. Okay, so we want to go like this. I think I grabbed the wrong one. I think I actually want this one here. Stick the shaft through it here. Yeah, nothing sucks worse than trying to work hurt, you know. You got to pay the bills. Let's see here. Like that, and I'll take this nut completely off. And there you go. You finally got the dial indicator where you can mount it. Supposed to have 3/1000ths or more in play on this gear, and if we don't have enough, we're gonna have to take it all back apart and get a thinner snap ring. Okay, let's get this turned around here, and we're gonna shorten this thing way up. Well, how the hell am I gonna see the needle wheel? That's the question. Swap this around to the other side or something. Try that method there. Yeah, that's going to be tough to see in there. I wonder if I can set the flat part of the magnetic base on the bottom of the case and then set that up against the gear somehow. Let's try that. Just don't give you a lot of room to do this maneuver, I'll tell you that. Alright. Okay, we're zeroed right there. You guys can see that. Alright, I got about maximum of 7, is what I think is what it said. Let's go all the way back to the way and zero it. Got her zeroed there. I should have zeroed it there. That's where I need to zero it at. 4/1000ths there. We're like at 4/1000ths, guys. Exactly at like, we're at 4, pretty close to 5/1000ths in play. Let's see what this says for nominal. where's that at? Second gear in play, 310, 315D. Use dial indicator and a small pry bar. Alright guys, so I found my other spring. I am going to call it a day, and I got pretty much this all set up. I got to get some blue Loctite in town, so I don't have any yet. This leg deal kind of threw things out of balance there, and I'm gonna pick some up at Napa or something there in town and come back tomorrow, and we're gonna hopefully get the majority of this case put back together. I know for a fact that all this stuff's right. I mean, it's exactly right. So our snap ring should not be coming off like theirs did. I don't think they set any of that stuff off, you know. It's pretty critical. You got to make damn sure that that snap ring down in there is seated up in the groove, you know, exactly where it's supposed to be, and also that it's not too thick of a snap ring to where you don't get it in the groove, or the snap ring's too thick to where you're shoving your third and fourth speed gear down the spines too far to where you're putting too much preload on your second gear, between third and second gear there, to where third gear is going to bind up, or second gear is going to bind up. You want that nice and free. So alright guys, I'm gonna call her a day, and I'll be back for the next video when we're putting the rear end in. Put that together, and we'll have to put our loop shaft and all that loop pump in. We'll put our what they call the transmission drive shaft in, and that one's not too bad to do either, so it's not near as critical as this one, the transmission drive shaft. You still got to set your preload up, but you're still trying to set your preload up on your pinion on this shaft too. So, and then you're supposed to, you know, and at the same time you're setting your preload on this gear. So there's just a lot of things on this bottom shaft that's kind of critical. So alright guys, appreciate you guys watching. Take care.